What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound. So, shortly after we went off the air last night, I'm sure by all of you know now, the Atlanta Falcons announced that they were benching Kirk Cousins and starting Michael Penix, which what sounds like to be the rest of the season, which has come to much rejoice for a lot of fans. Something that they have been calling for, obviously, in the midst of this stretch of games where Kirk has played bad, but I want to shed a little bit of a different light on it. Something we kind of talked about last night, alluded to a little bit. Unfortunately, this is the worst case scenario. I know, hey man, Michael Penix comes in and wins, we make the playoffs, nobody will remember, nobody will care. But this was not the plan the whole time. You know, if this was the plan, you would have done something along the lines of signing Jacoby Brissett or Gardner Minshew, or kept the two guys that you had on the roster last year to give buy time, I guess you could say, for Penix. But you signed Kirk Cousins because you thought he was going to give you at least 2 years. That was the plan. That was the process. Kirk was your guy. All that kind of stuff. So, best case scenario, Kirk plays out his whole 4 years, and you have to start having these conversations year 2, year 3, as we're winning. That was not the case. It was the worst case scenario. Worst case being Kirk started off the season rough, leveled out, played well in October. You thought, okay, here we go. This is what we paid for. And then fell off a cliff. Bad decision making, bad, just looks like his arm strength is dead. Now the thing is, like, what do you do with Kirk Cousins? What do you do with his contract? He's got $40-something million left, and you could trade him, but you're still going to be on the hook for, I think, like 20-something million next year. Or you could outright cut him, which would put you on the hook for almost $40 million next year. Now, I don't know what kind of trade partner you're actually going to find. The teams that come to mind are the Oakland Raiders, the New York Giants, the ones that you're fixing to play. Some people have floated out the idea of the Browns. I don't think the Browns have the cap space to take on the $30-something million. But somebody like the Raiders do, who they're probably going to have a new coach, and they may want to start their tenure with a veteran while they bring on a young guy. But here's the real deal. Kirk has to waive his no-trade clause. So that means I highly doubt you're going to go to a rental-type situation. Especially if Kirk still thinks he can turn it around a year after being off of, off that injury. So does he waive the no-trade clause? Does he help the team out? The team that just benched him. Everybody just automatically wants to assume, it would be so simple, we'll just trade him. It's fine. You have to find somebody who's willing to take him, and he's got to waive the clause. Now, you could pull a Denver. They trade for Russell Wilson. He has a horrible year. They cut him and just eat the dead cap. It's not like this regime isn't above eating money. They did it with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. They just got out from under it, so are they willing to go back into it for the next 2 years or next year or so? That they spread it out. So the money part is going to be the interesting part, but no, I don't think that you're going to see Kirk Cousins play again in Atlanta. It was a failed experiment. If Michael Penix comes in and looks good, then everybody will forget about the idea that you paid Kirk Cousins and then drafted, which everybody was looking at you crazy for the contract that you gave Cousins, and then turning around and drafting Penix. But if Penix comes in and plays well, then you buy yourself some more time. They're taking a big gamble here. Taking a real big gamble doing this. This is subverting their process, as they said. Now, you had to do something because, as we said last night, what they showed you is they had no faith or no trust in Kirk Cousins because he only attempted 17 passes against the Raiders. Like, that tells me you don't trust him. And if he doesn't have confidence or you don't have confidence, then yeah, it's over with. If you didn't trust him you should have come out of that game up 4 or 5 scores. Not having to pick off, Desmond Ridder at the last bit of the game to preserve your lead. So, yeah, definitely had to do something. This is not what they wanted to do when this season started. And, buddy, they better hope that Penix comes in and plays well. Whether they make the playoffs or not, at this point, the playoffs are kind of out of your hands. You got to have some help. Well, you kind of outlined that last night. So, if that's the case, then I'm not so worried about making the playoffs. We just got to look better on offense the last 3 games. These last 3 games are very winnable. And you owed as much crap as you've talked, in a sense. You've owed it to your fan base and to the players to try to do everything you can to win. And right now, Kirk wasn't that answer. Hadn't been that answer for a month. So, we'll see if it works out. He gets to make his debut at home. There's going to be some challenges there. You got Caleb McGarry's blocking the blind side now. We'll see how that works out. But maybe you can move Penix around more and protect him a little bit more that way. Maybe he won't be such a sitting duck back there. But, yeah, he's going to have an interesting task against that Giants D-line with Brian Burns and Caleb. I think Thibodeau might be out, and I'm not sure about Lawrence, but I know Burns is still there, and he's a problem. So, it ought to be fun. They got them throwbacks on, so hopefully that energy comes with it. All right, folks, just figured I'd touch base with y'all because I'm not 100% sure if we're going to get a show off next week. So, anyway, as always, Falcons fans, rise up.